Welcome back, everyone. We will continue our topic on relational operators, and this time we will look at a special non-primitive, and you all probably know that we are going to talk about strings and relational operators. We said that these all six relational operators are not meant to work with non-primitives. So they are only meant to work with primitives. They can compare numbers to numbers, and they can compare floating point numbers to floating point numbers, right? However, there is string being a very special non-primitive. There are two operators that we can use with strings: equal to and not equal to. So let's look at this. To be able to see it in examples, let's go ahead and create a new package within our source folder. We're going to call it section 3_1. Awesome. Now we're going to create a new class within this new package of ours, and we're going to call it string equality. Finish. Now let's open up some space, declare our main method, right? And let's start typing in the following. So we're going to create string variable fruit1 is equal to apple, right? And we're going to create another string variable fruit2 is equal to orange. Awesome. Now let's do this. If I try to compare these two by saying fruit1 is greater than or smaller than fruit2, my compiler is going to complain. It will say that the less than operator is undefined for the argument types string and string. So obviously, as we said earlier, we cannot use relational operators of any type but the last two with anything but primitives. So, however, if I do this, fruit1 is equal to fruit2, this will not complain. This will compile. And when I run it, we know that even in English, even in humane world, apples are not equals to oranges. So this is going to return a false, right? Awesome. And when I say that fruit1 is not equal to fruit2, obviously this will return true, right? Apple is not equal to an orange. Run, and this will return true. So far, so good. The same applies to me saying apple is equal to fruit1. Correct? Run it. True. So apple is equal to apple. Great. And if I say apple is not equal to fruit1, it will return false. So we have seen these. However, there is a big no when it comes to comparing strings with strings. Strings are non-primitives, which means strings are objects. String is a class. Fruit1 is an object of string class with the value apple. So you can, when you're trying to compare a string to a string, you should use a method, because with classes we can use methods. Non-primitives we're able to use methods with non-primitives. There are no methods that are associated that are coming from int, because int is not a class, it's a primitive. But since string is a class, it has its own methods, and one of these methods is equals method, like this. Let's see it in action. Let's do system out, and I'm going to open up some space, and I'm going to say fruit1 dot. When I use an object of a class called fruit1, and after this object, when I press the period button, what happens is it provides me the ability to use one of this object's methods, and I'm going to start using equals method. And this autofill is not going to allow me to do that. So fruit1 dot equals, again, dot equals fruit 2. This is how we're going to check for string equality. We're not going to use these. So I'm going to put here not encouraged or not a correct way to check for values. Okay, so if you want to compare the value of this object, of this string object that has 5 characters, being uppercase a, lowercase p, another p, lowercase l, and lowercase e with any other type, any other string, you need to use equals method. This equals method, very similar to this relational operator, will return true or false. So is apple equal to orange? Answer is false. And when we run this code, obviously we will have false displayed. And if I say system out fruit1 dot equals fruit2, and if I put a not operator in front of this whole operation, or you can go ahead and use it within parentheses, which are optional. But these parentheses will help you to see what the code does. If I add not operator before equals operator, obviously it means fruit1. I'm checking whether fruit1 not equals fruit2. When I run this, for the line 21, I'm going to receive true as expected, because apple is truly not equal to an orange, correct? Now, there is one thing that I need to point out to you. As we said earlier, let me comment this out. This lowercase a is not the same as uppercase a, right? So when I say, let's say fruit string fruit 1 underscore version 2, right, is equal to apple. I'm sorry, it is for Charles apple. You probably know that when I say fruit1 dot equals fruit1 underscore 2, the answer is going to be false. Even though this is an apple and this is an apple, fruit1 is an apple and fruit1 underscore 2 is an apple, they are not apples of the same type. Or I'm sorry, they are not apples carrying the same value. Lowercase, uppercase a, and lowercase a are two different values, and the output of this code is going to, of this statement is going to return false. So just to summarize, what we've seen is that even though equal to and not equal to relational operators can be used with strings, they are not encouraged, they are not the correct ways to check for the values of whether string 1's value is equal to string 2's value. So this string's value equal to that string's value. If you want to check for those values, please go ahead and use the equals method that comes with string class. And this method does this. It goes into string 1, looks at its length. If the length of string 1 is not equal to the length of string 2, it's automatically returning that these two strings are not equal to, because remember, space is also character, correct? So let's say the length is the same. It comes to the beginning and looks at the first character. It's an A. It looks at the first character. It looks at the character at the same position in the other string, or the first character of the other string. A is not equal to O, then this is not going to be true. If you want to, if you're comparing two strings, the values within strings will have to be the same for equals method to return true. Otherwise, it's going to return false. Basically, two strings have to be exactly the same to return true. One more time, do not, even though you can use relational operators, do not use them with strings. Use equals method instead. That's it. And we're going to move on to our next video. where we'll look at logical operators. More fun is on the way. I'll see you then.